Bipartisan alarm over possible war crimes. According to the Times, lawmakers from both parties are now warning that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth may have overseen actions that amount to war crimes. The alarm follows reporting that Hegseth allegedly gave a verbal order to kill everyone aboard suspected drug smuggling boats in the Caribbean, including survivors of an initial strike. Now, before you get all in a lather here, let me point out very clearly, this is not just the MSNBC crowd. This is not the head of the DNC. This is not the radical left making these very stern allegations of war crimes. Republican member of Congress Mike Turner said such a follow-up strike, quote, would be an illegal act. Senator Tim Kaine said the attack, quote, rises to the level of a war crime. And Senator Mark Kelly agreed it seems to qualify. The House and Senate Armed Services Committees, both bipartisan, opened investigations into the strikes, which have killed more than 80 people since September. Lawmakers say they were never briefed on any policy authorizing the killing of survivors. Hegseth denies wrongdoing, but pressure is growing for complete transparency, including release of the unedited strike footage. So what's the real message here? It's no longer a partisan issue. Republicans and Democrats now say there's a good chance that Pete Hegseth, the so-called war minister, is guilty of war crimes for intentionally giving the order to kill non-combatants in the Caribbean with these bombings. Let's dig a little bit deeper here. Again, the Washington Post reports Hegseth ordered kill everyone on what they think were drug boats. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't, maybe they were fishing boats. Congressman Mike Turner, the Republican, says such action is illegal. Other Republicans are now showing real concerns about this. So if you think Pete Hegseth is great, that's fine. If you think the specific orders he did were wonderful, that's fine. But be honest with me, be intellectually honest. Don't say, well, it's just the lunatic left complaining about it. It's not. It's Republicans who believe in separation of powers, people who believe in international law, people who believe that it's not the American way to shoot first and ask questions later. They're all profoundly troubled by what is going on in the Caribbean. Now, we don't even have time to talk about it today, but the bizarre situation where one of the biggest drug lords ever from Central America is about to be pardoned by this administration. That's certainly okay. That seems okay to a number of people. But some guy on a boat who might just be fishing, or might be somebody who's Gilligan. He was just the guy out in the bottom of the boat getting winches and things like that, is blown to smithereens. And the striking thing is, according to reports from the Washington Post and elsewhere, they bombed the boat. It didn't kill everyone. They see pieces of the boat. People are kind of floating around, hanging on like it's the end of Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio, although I don't think any Kate Winslets were out there. They're hanging on, and the order comes, okay, hit them again until there are no survivors. This is just not the American way. The idea that the military in a non-militarized zone, in where there's no stated declaration of war, is just going to act as judge, jury, and executor like that, that's profoundly disturbing to anyone who believes in constitutional democracy. It's profoundly disturbing to anyone who considers themselves a conservative law and order type, because that's not law and order. That is just the whim of a dictator or a dictator's minions. So it is going to be interesting to see if the Republicans, who so far have expressed dismay about this, are going to follow through, or do they get pressure from the administration? How dare you talk about that? If you mention these illegal kills one more time, we're going to fund a primary opponent, because that is what happens typically to Republicans in this administration. If they even hint at having a teeny tiny bit of backbone, they end up like Marjorie Taylor Greene, written out of the MAGA movement and treated as apostates and besieged with threats to their physical person hourly. And not to mention thousands of pizzas being delivered to their house. By the way, why do you think people falsely deliver pizzas to someone's house? Part of it is it's annoying. It's intimidating, but it's also letting, in this case, a Republican official know that there are people out there who hate them who know exactly where they live. So it's an act of extreme physical intimidation. So I'll be monitoring this closely. If you care at all about democracy, I think you have to. And of course, the great irony here is when Trump first ran for office, he said, I'm going to keep us out of all these wars. We're not going to be the American policeman anymore. And a lot of independent voters, and certainly a lot of Republican voters, said, that's great. That's what we want. We're tired of these wars. We're tired of Afghanistan and the Middle East and being the world's policeman. It really resonated. And Trump was able to change the official policies of the Republican Party to not be this neoconservative keeper of Western liberalism for the whole world. He changed it, and a lot of people liked it. Now he's going very far to the other extreme, whether it's authorizing bombings in the Middle East, whether it is just bombing and attacking people seemingly randomly in our own Caribbean.